Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and in this video, I want to be specifically talking about the 3 best paths to use to clear Swamp Disaster difficulty 5 or higher. Best is very subjective, right? Am I talking about clear time? Am I talking about DPS or most flashiest, the screenshot number? What do I mean by best is anyone can use it regardless of what team composition you have. I've already demonstrated one of them, which is like Path of Nihility with like a totally free-to-play comp, Mark 7, Natasha, Fire MC, and Serval. No Nihility characters, yet I used Nihility and cleared it as well. I shared it on the channel in a difficulty 5 video. If you want like more information about Path of Nihility, check that video out, but in this video, we're going to talk about the general strategy and the other paths I used as well. You don't have to do these golden notes, you can do it at like 16-16 for your communal trial, totally fine as well, but it's a lot easier if you have it maxed out, and if for those of you completionists, maybe you want to get it fully maxed out, I don't know, but this video is meant for anyone, regardless of whether you do it or not. So we don't waste time on this channel. Right now, as we talk about the strategy, I'm going to be letting you see a run that I have completely auto-battle, sharing with you the exact tips I'm talking about in this video. It's not a free-to-play run. I have the free-to-play clip on the other video already for Path of Nihility. You can check it out if you're interested. The one in the background, I'm using Path of Remembrance. So these are the two that are super strong. And the last one, of course, that I used is Path of Preservation, which I did off-screen, and that was my first path that I used. Highly recommend as a first starting point for all like beginners entering the final note itself. Now, of course, you can use any other of these notes. I think honorable mentions like Abundance, Destruction can use the strategy that I'm going to be teaching you very easily. But of course, this 3 works best, and I will explain to you why. So much so that I can even auto battle with it. So I think it speaks for itself too. Now let me just go back and go into like the blessing screen right here so that we can exactly see what is the strategy. We don't waste time on this channel, so I'll just like jump in with the TLDR. The strategy that we are using is basically 2 buffs. You only need to ensure that you get these 2, and pretty much the whole entire Swamp Disaster is going to be easy. If you guys want a challenge, I will highly recommend you pause this video and don't watch it and try it yourself. But if you want an easy one, you just want auto battle and you want to get the rewards, the trick is actually really going with Fully and Reticence. Once you have this, which allows you to proc Dissociation on frozen enemies, and you have this attacking the enemy 6 times and proccing freeze on the enemies, regardless of what team comp you use, you're going to have a very easy time, especially if you can focus on some things that I want to be sharing with you also. For those of you who are in like the earlier difficulties, you wouldn't really feel any issue with these 2, but once you enter the final difficulty, the enemy have very high resistance to crowd control, which includes frozen, and also high effect rest. So the whole strategy will be revolving around getting these 2 things to land, which also includes 1 frozen, freezing the enemies, which is basically this, and after freezing the enemies, you want Dissociation to land because the chance is also still pretty small. That are like the 2 main things that we are focusing on. So any buff that you're taking basically in the strategy is to either increase the enemies, or increase your hit rate, reduce the enemy's resistance, and or reduce the enemy's ability to, for example, resist freeze. This one is also very good because anything that speeds up your team also theoretically will help you improve frozen as well in an indirect sense. You might ask, why is this so OP? Why are we centering this build around Dissociation? It's because Dissociation gives you a free 30% damage to enemies max HP. So not current HP, 30% max HP. Very often the enemy just dies to their 100,000, 200,000 damage from the pop for Dissociation. There's another buff here, that this one here, Melancholia. When you proc this, it actually procs it immediately, which means you can have multiple Dissociations in one free cycle on the enemy if you can land enough attacks on the enemy to proc this Dissociation. Very insanely strong, you can probably wipe out the enemies in like 1 combo. Is super OP. These 3 alone are already fantastic. The first, and now now that we know like this strategy, let's talk about if you were just getting in, because not all of you might have the max 3 build up. Maybe you are just level 16 everything, you're still trying to get used to the final note difficulty 5, or maybe you just want to clear it for the first time without even entering that note. I would say the best is to start off with Path of Preservation. Why is Preservation the easiest to clear? Is you use this for damage, this strat that we talked about, for the damage component, which means you don't need to care about the DPS factor. You just need to care about 2 things, and one is surviving the boss's one shot, and secondly, of course, is to be able to proc freeze. Mark 7 does both of this, and actually is a top pick in my opinion for a character that you want to play. And why like this is really so good is because of this Amber ability. This is a resonance formation, so there's no RNG needed, you just need to collect enough buffs to get this resonance. So why is Amber so good? Really is because of this effect that it prevents an overspill of damage if your characters have shields. This is of course when you press like the Path of Resonance, you get this special Amber that if like you even have only just 1 HP shield, if you take like 10k damage, you will only take 1 damage because the shield's HP is only 1 HP. Prevents a spillover, which is tremendously good, especially for squishier characters that you have, or maybe you do not have enough blessings in the simulated universe. I used this and cleared this even before I hit like the final note. I think I was like at just like 11, 12 double digits on most of the trial of Pathstrider. Super effective. Using this as like your surviving method and remembrance for the DPS, I found it very easy. Some other key blessings that you want to consider if you're not really that well built, maybe you're under gear and you're finding it a bit hard, anything like these that add on to a bit of sustain, anything that improves like your defense, improves like the shield consumption, or improves the shield's utility, all these are tremendously good value. This one, like increasing defense, preservation is going to be meant to like keeping your characters alive. Remembrance is when you're going to do a lot of damage. If you don't have like that many confidence of maybe landing a lot of freeze, I would highly suggest you maybe want to build also around a quick damage. It's not as good as Nihility for the consistent damage, but it is some damage and will help you speed up your run. The worst part is once the enemy gets that stacking buff on them, then they start one-shotting your characters. That's when most of us tend to lose in the path of preservation. So if you're finding yourself in that situation, likely you are not landing freeze and dissociation well enough, and you want to focus on that, I don't think quick is like super critical for this technique as well. So that's like the first path, very easy. You can clear it even on like when you're not that far into the Trail of Pathstrider. But I guess most of you who are watching this video are already at least 16. But just in case any of you are planning for the future, that's how I cleared it even before clearing the Trail of Pathstrider. In the background, you see here, the Remembrance one. The strategy really focuses on all of these. You just stack up all of these Remembrance debuffs as well. So you will get tons of ability to proc the freeze on the enemy. The enemy's chance to resist can also be reduced with certain buffs too. The strategy here is of course best if you have very well built characters. And for example, you can see on the screen I'm running 2 defensive units even though I have most characters in the game. So that shows you like how demanding the simulated universe is as well. You want to play at least 2 sustain units to ensure more consistency in your runs. Preferably some cleansers as well, because it's quite irritating, the enemy's wind shear and all the other stuff as well. So same tips for Remembrance. If you have enough of that debuffs, you actually can auto battle, and that's pretty much how I went through most of the harder contents, other than of course for the fact I was trying comms to make videos for you guys to tell you that hey, it is still possible to play free-to-play units. And the last one of course is Nihility that I use. I use a totally free-to-play unit. I won't go too much in depth because I have a full video on it, like bringing you the thought process on all the free-to-play. I'm just going to be selling you the idea of why Nihility works very well even though you don't have any Nihility characters. On the free-to-play video, I only had Serval, Mark 7, Fire MC, as well as Natasha. None of them are Nihility. 3 sustained characters still destroyed the enemies very well, and forming the same core fully as well as Reticence to do the damage. And Nihility offers a lot more consistency because you get a lot of these ability to proc these DOT debuffs on the enemy. At the same time, you get some stuff like this Call of the Wilderness, which reduces the enemy's attack, and Hell is Other People, which allows you to proc freeze when one enemy is weakness broken. This works very well, especially if you have the one that I think when you use your ultimate, let me just see where that is. When you use your ultimate, one enemy has a chance of getting freeze. I think it's in here, I'm sorry. Let me just scroll. Yeah. So the Shudder here, when you use the ultimate, there's a 70% base chance for one enemy to have an ice weakness for 2 turns. When you have this on, you land it on some random guy. Nihility is able to proc it on everyone, with Hell is Other People, so it combos very nicely to like AoE freeze the whole enemy comp. Even without like March 7 or something like that. So I found this combo very good, a lot more consistent damage, especially if you're struggling with Remembrance, you don't have that many freezing characters, or you just can't seem to land Dissociation often. Nihility is the solution. You get a lot more regular damage. The sustain option, if you're finding any issues sustaining, just fall back on the same strategy that we had, where you either take like the defensive options, increasing defense, HP, or even like for example some destruction ones like this that increase max HP. Abundance also has a couple that I think you take less damage if your characters are at full HP for one of the nodes as well. This one here, all very good to improve your sustainability. And yeah, that is basically my TLDR 3 paths that I use. As you can see, you can pretty much apply these same 2 tactics to any other path to clear the rest of them. But I guess you guys wanted just a summary, the easiest 3 paths, and these are really the top 3. This preservation allows you to run it very undergeared. Remembrance allows you to just auto battle, and Nihility allows you to run even with a total free-to-play team. And in my opinion, those 3 definitions alone will probably make them like the top pick. The rest of them are a little bit more conditional, which don't make them fit the criteria of the top 3 best paths. And if you guys are interested in the free-to-play run that we talked about on Nihility, you maybe can't believe that I didn't run a single Nihility character, you want to see some evidence, take a look at this video right here in the end screen for difficulty 5 free-to-play clear. Or otherwise, check out this other video on the Swamp Disaster. I think you might find useful too. If you just want a bit more power, get the golden notes. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.